Hello and welcome back to the Boston Commune.
Tim's gonna get indicted for sure.
I am done. No, here's the thing. I'm not going to resist it anymore. Like, we're done with the news. It's all I had to talk about. You are welcome to talk about the local Nazis and what you've been working on.
Yes.
Yeah, we should probably talk about the Nazis, even though we're so sick of them.
I had some proper segment. We'll do that after.
I had some proper questions written up about this just to guide the conversation, so it's not like
No, we won't answer.
No.
Refuse.
Yeah.
So we don't go from
Lauren's going, stop. You can't see
I have so many things to say about the Nazis, and you're going to ruin it by talking about Tim Pool, who's a lesser Nazi.
I will be serious.
Okay.
And I'll just shut up until I don't.
Okay, so.
The lesser Nazis.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Kind of.
The police are the real Nazis.
That's the fact right there.
That's one of the questions in here. We'll get to that.
That was your first question, I'm sure. Who are the real Nazis?
I mean, they're just the Nazis we pay tax dollars to.
Sure. They're far more dangerous than us.
So I would say it would be order of FBI, CIA, JTTF, Department of Homeland Security, ICE, local police, Tim Pool.
You forgot the Stadies.
You forgot DHS
first, then Tim Pool, and Steven Crowder. And I think that'd be it.
I don't know. Those right-wing anti-vaxxers are pretty pushy.
Also, whoever runs the fucking New Hampshire Libertarian Party Twitter, whoever that guy is, it's got to be on that list somewhere.
I probably know him. Do you know who it is?
I don't.
Okay, because I spent a lot of time with the New Hampshire Libertarians while Furman did it. And I can't say this publicly, so
you're gonna say it right now.
I'm gonna say it right now. But Furman did a magnificent job of doing a deep troll to those motherfuckers in 2020. And we spent a lot of time around them. And just give me a name, and I'll let you know what I know.
I'm not even on Twitter, so I just see it secondhand.
How are you not on Twitter?
Oh.
Because I respect myself.
Oh.
Listen, you don't exist if you're not on Twitter, bro. TikTok.
Shit.
I'm the back end guy. I like to edit, man. Like I don't like to be in the spotlight here. I'm just
Can I hire you for free?
Let's not do it right now.
Will you be my Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, good. Okay.
So this is the thing about NSC 131. They are basically Bernie Sanders with swastikas. This is the weirdest thing.
Yeah, actually, it's unfortunately.
Let's not do it right now.
No, should we back up before we talk about why?
He has questions. Let's answer the questions.
Okay. Question us.
Yeah, let's
begin the interrogation.
Question us. Yes.
All right. So, we're spot on here. First one. Fascism, it's been defined in many different ways. Some people will say it's like ethno-nationalism. A lot of people will they'll use like the Mussolini definition, which is the alignment of the state and the private sector. Some people will say return to an arcane traditionalist social order. But we on the Epoch,
the royal we,
are interested in the tendencies that have been gaining steam in our area, in the Boston area, in New England. So let's start with NSC 131. Who are they, and what kind of interactions with them have you guys had?
We've had too many. I would define them as more of the first option that you said, aligned with sort of this like hooliganism.
That's a good
where they're trying to be like, in like England there's like those like soccer team gangs and stuff.
Yes.
It's like that with like some kind of socio-political ideology behind it that involves a lot of Nazi elements and swastikas. But it's a boys club.
So it's almost like an arbitrary tribalism
to NSC.
Yes.
Lauren, fascism itself, the bigger issue of fascism, you could probably get to that.
Well, yeah. It's like I said, it's Bernie Sanders with swastikas. I mean, at least with these guys,
they're hooligans though.
Yeah,
they want to be hooligans.
But they believe in socialism and
Yeah, they actually are anti-capitalist too.
Getting
that's an interesting plot twist.
Talk to them long enough, and they truly do sound like that.
Yeah, they're really anti-gentrification.
They just want all the black people and the Jews to move out of their neighborhood so they can have their own white socialist state, and it's gross, but that's where they're at with it. Yeah, I mean, I think traditionally speaking, it is certainly, the merger of corporation and state, which, would bring us to Sheldon Wollin's theory of inverted totalitarianism. The right-wingers like to call that globalism. But what we can see is that the vestiges of power are not pulled so much by the politicians themselves. Rather, they are the puppets being puppeteered by the likes of Walmart, Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. They, then go and destabilize whichever country they want to move in for their resources, and it trickles on from there. I would say that the United States of America is they are the apex of modern fascism. Forget about Hitler and Mussolini.
Well, there's also Putin.
But he's not as powerful as the United States.
Yeah.
I wouldn't deny you that. But I'd say that the United States is the apex, and Putin gets a silver medal or whatever.
I have to say, Putin's current venture very, very reminiscent of Dugin.
Doogie Howser?
No.
Any Dugin?
Huh?
What do you mean
explain
Dugin?
the reference, Jessica.
Yeah.
He's a Russian nationalist. He's like one of the modern age fascists of Russia.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if it's not about the Romanov family, I have not studied anything about Russian history. I can tell you a little bit about Boris Yeltsin.
All right, that's fine. That wasn't in my list of questions, so we can just scratch that. I'll bleep it. We can pretend like you guys know all of your shit, and we'll get back to NSC.
I'm actually editing this, and I'm not doing any of that.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Or whatever else you were talking
yeah,
about. I interrupted you.
Programming.
You gave an example of Mussolini as another example of fascism. That's more like America.
Yeah.
With the corporate state combination. NSC is like they want to overthrow that kind of thing, but honestly, I don't even think they're as powerful as like the regular right wing that is also crazy going on here, which is why they're recruiting from them.
Right.
Which we'll get into.
So they're essentially Nazbols, are they?
I mean, okay. I mean, you could say that, but listen, I'm hung up on Americans, the American empire being the real fascists here. You look at the police state, what happened at Standing Rock. It's the perfect example of George Carlin's quote that America is an oil company with an army, which it goes back to that merger of corporation and state. When I was out there making my documentary there, it was very clear that Morton County Sheriff's Department was very clearly working in tandem with the oil company. In fact, I was kidnapped by mercenaries at one point, and then finally when the mercenaries turned me over to the police, the cop that showed up, Sheriff Chad Kaiser, I'll never forget it, had a DAPL badge on one side, that's Dakota Access Pipeline, and his sheriff's badge on the other. It was like a perfect visual representation of what fascism is. And they went around rounding up journalists and protesters. That was a little test run for a lot of what happened in the wake of the George Floyd protests. That's some real fascism there. NSC 131 are part of the street gang, I guess, trend that's been happening since the Proud Boys. And I agree that they're dangerous people with, in a sense, more abhorrent beliefs because they openly espouse racism and the idea of separating whites with Jews and African Americans. But they don't hold any real power. Those with the actual power are these corporations who are able to pay for police forces. It wasn't just Morton County Sheriff's Department. They had something like, I think it was like a dozen police forces from around the United States. In fact, the guys that were working for the mercenaries that kidnapped me, when I was able to track them down, because one of them made a mistake.
Tiger Swan?
Tiger Swan is one of the groups of mercenaries. But he was like from Arkansas.
Yeah.
Romance, Arkansas. I remember that one. And those motherfuckers were far more dangerous than NSC 131. It's just that NSC 131 has a more insane vision of what they would like for the United States, or maybe they're just a little pocket of the United States. When I interviewed Matthew Heimbach from the Traditionalist Worker Party, another open neo-Nazi group, it was a mocking interview that I did with Bullhorn to his face, and this was prior to Charlottesville. I was going around asking, who you would write in for a Republican presidential nominee. This is at the RNC. He said Commander George Lincoln Rockwell, and at the time, I did not know who that was, but it's the founder of the American Nazi Party. He went on to say that they had alliances or affinity for other National Socialist group like Hezbollah and Rodrigo Duterte. So their vision strangely intersects with other races who also have this vision of racial separatism, and that's what's so alarming about groups like NSC 131 and Traditionalist Worker Party. And I think that's by and large why it's important to go out there and stand up against them when they are openly advocating for white supremacy and recruiting in the streets at the motherfucking St. Patrick's Day parade. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. You touched on two things that I wanted to get into more. But I guess first, so you talked about their recruiting, you talked about their sort of like grandstanding. So how have these various fascist groups adapted their messaging to appeal to a mainstream audience? And how do they recruit?
So I believe that they at first were recruiting from at least I'm speaking locally. There was they were out there hanging out with Super Happy Fun America. Some people were part of the Resist Marxism people, American Vanguard. What was the thing that Haiti was in? American Guard. So there's always little patriot groups of, I guess, militia, toy fascist guys that go out and I guess they have campfires and shoot guns.
Boston Free Speech too. I think Tim Pool was out.
Yeah, Boston Free Speech. But I'm saying like what these guys do on their free time. They go out and have campfires and shoot guns and talk about how much they hate black people. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, they tried to make it a men's club.
It's a men's club, right? And so they've been recruiting from that. It's gotten more and more extreme over the years. And also at the same time, some of the people that are leading NSC 131 right now, specifically Chris Hood, used to be involved with Patriot Front, which, as we've seen from Unicorn Riot's massive dump of leaks from their server, has been pretty active and has quotas for activity. A lot of identities have been compromised over the years, and I personally do believe that a lot of the new bodies we're seeing in NSC 131 are Patriot Front people that are using NSC activities as part of their Patriot Front quota. Patriot Front would go down to like DC and like do big marches and stuff, and they're more like stormtrooper-esque, where they wear the uniforms and they have the shields and, just like very bootlicky. NSC, when we first met them, was like 4 guys that wore a bunch of like swastika and SS stuff, like trying to hang out with like regular far-right people. I know that's a weird thing to say, regular far-right people, but like...
So this is a new post. Why don't you read how they define themselves?
Oh, NSC is actually posting on Telegram right now, helpfully.
Nice.
The Nationalist Social Club is a pro-white, street-oriented gang dedicated to raising authentic resistance to the enemies of our people in the New England area. This takes the form of networking, training, activism, outreach, and above all, action. No matter how you got here, if you are a man of European descent in the New England area that wishes to see a better future for your people, contact us to get work.
Yeah.
So the thing is, Chris Hood he was part of Patriot Front, and then he did the NSC stuff started that a couple years ago. Yeah, they are posting a lot. We actually have a good time, like, making fun of him to his face over the past couple years. We have quality banter. There's some new people in the group.
If you call
it quality banter, whatever. He's whatever. He won't usually punch us in the face immediately. There's some new recruits that are it's like they're almost dumber and they don't want to talk, so they're much more violent, which is what happened to us on St. Patrick's Day, unfortunately.
Because Hood was picked up by Agent Creed.
Right, their leader was arrested for public drinking.
Which quite honestly, I think was...
Which is on St. Patrick's Day. Like, it's kind of dumb, honestly.
Well, it says to me that Agent Creed was using this to show that he was fair and balanced, and using a misdemeanor charge against people he supports to make it look like he was going after them just as much as he's going after us. He did put forward 5 grand juries against us in 2 different states for making a fucking movie, and he's going to use that in the courts to say, oh, well, yeah, I was fair I went after the Nazis too. But we know because of leaked emails that he's collaborated with Northeast White Pride, and his buddy Steve Kimball, his partner, is most famous, and you can see that in the Guardian article, for using Key and Peele quotes and Tosh.0 quotes out of context in order to get a conviction against the Boston Marathon bomber. Now, fuck that guy. But Jesus fucking Christ, the methods that they're using are out of control. And anyhow, that's why Chris Hood was not there when they attacked us.
So it was awkward because afterwards because Rod had posted about, I don't know, we're probably getting ahead of ourselves. We're talking about the real fascists now. These guys are a street gang of lost boys, is like basically what it comes down to. It's a bunch of lost boys, probably have no, good family figure in their life. I don't know, like psychologically, the original NSC 131 members in Massachusetts are either dead or in jail right now, like the original 4 that we were trolling 2 years ago, and it's a whole bunch of new young people who are into wearing uniforms now. So it's kind of interesting to see how it evolved, and it's definitely scary because they are definitely working their propaganda angle to try to recruit from other fraternal areas.
And so it's not just they don't have a good family, to help them with their upbringing. It is rumored, and I can't 100% confirm this, but Chris Hood is allegedly adopted and raised by an Asian family, which adds weird layers to the onion that I can't necessarily analyze. But I would say that it's safe to say that they've all got some deep-rooted problems, psychological problems, which have led them down this path. So as much as I am for standing up against neo-Nazism or fascism in any form, I'm also one for making converts. And that's not a pleasant.
It's not pleasant at all.
That is not a pleasant prospect.
Have you ever tried talking pleasantly with a Nazi for days at a time?
Well, they have to come to you.
Yeah, they have to come to you, and it sucks when they do.
And there are groups which specialize that, like Life After Hate.
Yeah.
But I think that we can't allow our hearts to become so cold and deadened inside that we become the monsters who we purport to fight. I believe that just like, I don't want to make it a Darth Vader reference, but I still see the motherfucking good in him. I believe that's what Luke Skywalker said when he's taking off Darth Vader's helmet. The motherfucking good, that they are humans, and I mean, fuck Nazis, but God,
they don't have any power. So
they have no power.
We need to stop them before they do, and we need to stop them and stop them from recruiting before they recruit, or they may already have the kind of person who's going to burn down a synagogue or push an Asian lady onto the train tracks, because that's the kind of stuff these guys do once they start to get confident.
And that's why I think we believe in the concept of ethical trolling. We ridicule, which allows conversation, and we open a conversation which might make them think twice about going down that path. It doesn't work for the most part. You can't really negotiate with Nazis like 99% of the time. But I don't want to become the fascist myself, and say that they all need to be shot dead in the street. I don't believe that whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I hear where you're coming from and agree with you completely. And I actually want to get into that a little bit more because, like when I say we need universal health care, I don't mean like universal health care for everybody except Nazis. I mean like everybody needs, just as a human being, access to basic material security. And so
this is where you differ from Nazis.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Sure.
Because, I mean, honestly, some of their leaders have spoken to me and said, well, would you want your tax dollars to pay for school for NSC children, like children of NSC members? And I said, absolutely. Absolutely, I would want my tax dollars to pay for school for everybody.
Right.
Whether they're the kid of an asshole or not.
And this is where I differ with Lauren, because I wouldn't say that I necessarily believe in the legitimacy of the government.
Yeah, he doesn't like taxes.
No, it's not just taxes, it's the legitimacy of the government. But if we're going to go down that road and there is a government, certainly we would want to be able to petition them for grievances and healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, but they don't believe that. They only want the socialism for white European people. They don't, and they will, their vision is to allocate like land and whatever resources, they get all of it and then divide it up.
Michigan. you guys, stay
like
in Alabama.
But they're the ones who get to decide and divide it up. Oh, the blacks can have this, the Jews can have this. They can, because they're fascists. So it's like, oh, let the Nazis decide what everybody gets. That's a great idea. But
so basically, we're gonna do British colonialism again.
Yeah, kinda. But like less capitalist, because they're actually. What's funny is one of the other things I've noticed is the recent switch, because they are always anti-communist action, so 131 stands for ACA, which is like numerology. I know, sorry.
It's the alphabetical letters that refers to the numbers.
Yes. So 131 could be anti-communist action or anti-capitalist action. And I have seen a switch from the anti-communist slant to anti-capitalist, and I think that's because New England knows their market.
Do you think that's more or less dangerous?
I think that's more well, I think that's actually more effective because we don't live in a communist society.
Well, so that was the thing, is the neo-Nazis that were recruiting at the RNC in 2016, some of them were advocating for Bernie Sanders just to fuck with folks, because so many of their policies were exactly the same as Sanders, but then at the end of their speech they'd say, but fuck the blacks and the Jews.
Yeah, it's like they want all those things, but only for white people.
Yeah.
I in watching I think it was in the dumpster fire video, not the, I don't remember the name. What was the name of the fascist documentary you did? I was watching it like 2 hours ago.
The Oppressed Majority?
Yes, The Oppressed Majority. I think it was the other one. I think it was the dumpster fire.
Okay.
2020
I'm not
dumpster
sure
fire.
if you got into NSC much in The Oppressed.
I did not know.
Yeah, they're kind of a newer development.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you went to a lot of Trump rallies. It was fantastic video content, gotta say. You asked people some questions, and I guess it's not surprising, just because I also recognize that there is this weird, there's it's not true working class sentiment, but it's Bernie Sanders was the second choice for a lot of Trumpers.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. And I included a scene about that, actually, in Dumpster Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so listeners, watch the Dumpster 2020.
Watch the Dumpster 2020, Jesus.
It was a conversation between an older Trumper woman and two young Bernie Sanders supporters, and the Trumper woman said, "I hope Bernie wins tonight," and it was in the final night of the primaries, and they're like, "Whoa, what? The Bernie Sanders supporters were losing their minds about it, and I will grant you that they were probably 18 or 19, barely old enough to vote, and the Trumper laid it all out for them, that Bernie Sanders is probably the best choice for America, but the Democratic Party is never going to let him win. And they were enamored and butthurt and bewildered with stars spinning around on their heads all at the same time. And it's one of the points that I tried to get across in my 2016 film, the election, of that year. But who am I? I'm this little documentarian that I think we have a building audience, but I can't compete with MSNBC or Fox News. You have got people like Chuck Todd went on his own personal podcast after the 2016 election, and he admitted that we were bullshitting you, that we lied to the heartland about how much Hillary Clinton was hated in order to put forward our narrative. With journalists openly saying things like that, the real question is how do you win over the media? And the answer is without piles, dump trucks of money, you don't. This is by and large how I have arrived at mockery and satire, because I don't believe that we're going to overthrow them with force. We can only overthrow them with a mass enlightenment, and it's sure as hell not going to be a QAnon. So
it's not going to be NSC either.
It's not going to be NSC. So I think the best weapons we have is spectacle, humor, and trolling.
Well, we totally, we're totally. I was going to try and make a joke about the fact that
I love that idea of trolling our way into power.
No, I love it. I think. What did you say? Ethical trolling or something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think ethical trolling needs to be the name of this episode.
Lauren, why don't you give your speech about Diogenes?
Well, for
I'll make a drink.
That guy is a fucking gangster, and nobody can convince me otherwise.
Well, when you're in a rich man's home, the only place to spit is his face. As Diogenes once said. There's a fine art to trolling. It's been a tradition historically for as far as we've constructed bodies of government. We had Socrates, we had Diogenes, we had Voltaire. It is an art, and when you troll, make sure to punch up. That's how you ethically troll. Always punch up.
Hell yeah.
And that's the conclusion I've come to.
I mean, because the thing is that there's so many trolls out there who are just in it for the lulls or the clicks or the likes, and they do a great job of building up their following, but in the process, many of them are punching down. I mean, like, again, I hate to go back to Tim Pool, but he's one of them. He's kind of a lower trolling.
Look at Turtle Boy.
Let's not talk about that.
Like, we have the sensational media where it's like, oh, look at what this person did today that is like has nothing to do with anyone in power, that might just be going through their own problems, and let's like all make fun of them. That's not ethical trolling. That's just being mean. If you want to troll, you have to, like, I guess it's I don't know if begging the question is the proper term, but asking a question or posing a situation. I guess it's in the tradition of the situationist, where you create a situation where the person either has to respond honestly or not, and no matter what they do, it's going to reveal something.
Yeah, I'm fully in favor of kind of posing a dichotomy and then making people choose, because
or they can go in a totally different direction, and that also reveals something. But as long as the situation reveals something,
yeah, I mean, even walking away. That was in when I was in South Carolina during the primaries there. I went up to Joe Biden, and after having confronted him in New Hampshire, by the way, said, "Hey, you write the Patriot Act. How do you feel about that? You've ushered in 1,000 years of George Orwell." And he's go get him, and
go get him, kid.
And his audience just starts chanting, "Let's go, Joe! Let's go, Joe!" And I start questioning them about Guantanamo Bay and why that hasn't been closed down. And basically that they had started this war over the fake weapons of mass destruction lie. Which goes back to all the false flags that all of the wars have been created over, going back to the Sons of Liberty throwing tea in Boston Harbor, claiming that they were Native Americans. Name me a war, and I'll name you the false flag that started it. Not to sound like Alex Jones, but I mean, it's a real fucking thing.
It really is.
I honestly didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Part of
like our entry to World War I was
believe.
the result of partially the result of a false flag, partially because Europe wanted its
Well,
money back.
The rebels did the false flag.
I missed the beginning. What did you say?
Well,
Joe.
Partially the reason the U.S. entered World War I was actually a false flag done by the British to convince the American public that like Mexico is trying to claim Texas.
Well, yeah, they were offering basically to take back Mexico, and then they went and sank the Lusitania, which was a partial civilian, partial military. But you can see now that we have the internet, the telegrams, or I guess telegraphs, whatever old timey communication that they were using between the German king and the Mexicans, and
the cipher, the giant thing on the fucking hill.
That was by and large what led to the sinking of Lusitania, which brought us into World War I. Forget about the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, which was like an open conspiracy in which anarchists, basically tried to set a bomb on this dude. They fucked it up. They didn't get close enough.
Pretty sure the Lusitania sinking happened first.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean Franz Ferdinand is what started World War I. The United States came into it later, and that's what.
No, I was talking about the U.S. Getting involved. That was what caused it.
No, the U.S. was not involved at the inception with the assassination. Ferdinand. If that's the point you're making. Anyhow, I'm just. I mean,
Thanks, Joe.
I'm just saying that was an open conspiracy there. If you look at World War II, you have General Henry Stimson writing in his autobiography that they were well aware that the Japanese were going to bomb Pearl Harbor, but they let them do it so that the United States could be brought into it. Previous to that, the Dulles brothers arranged for a bank deal through the Bank of England to fund the Nazis to the tune of $80 million, roughly 8 to 9 months before the Reichstag fire. This is American or the people in American government basically playing both sides against the middle, since its inception. It goes on and on and on and on.
That was one of the questions I wanted to ask, and you've kind of answered this like in pieces, but just to give a as clear.
And Lauren just left the room because I think she's giving that you're getting too conspiratorial. But hey, I mean, this is it's all in black and white.
No, I was actually going to bring up the Gulf of Tonkin, but that's we'll talk about that another time.
Another time.
I mean, these things are not difficult, and I to find out, and I don't think they're even controversial.
No, absolutely not.
Actually studied history.
That's the problem, though, is that like a lot of history is whitewashed specifically to remove these like black and white like historical.
Yeah, I have.
Issues.
I mean, I bring up the Vietnam War a lot because like it's one that for some reason, maybe it's just because I watch a lot of Luna Oi, but it's like I get like really fucking emotional about the Vietnam War when I think about like the innocent children that just got bombed to fucking pieces and poisoned by like Agent Orange, and like farmers that just exploded just because there was like an unexploded ordnance in their field that they stumbled upon. Like that shit really makes me fucking angry. But I don't want to get
absolutely, and I think by and large, the American government is what helped to facilitate the Cambodian genocide.
Mm-hmm.
And Noam Chomsky, not to go back to him, but he was in denial of that. And I think that's problematic. I mean, if you really want to talk about Cambodia, you should talk to this dude, Nate Thayer, who's actually a prominent anti-fascist. You'll see a lot of his things I retweet, but he's the guy who spent 15 years in the jungles of Cambodia hunting down Pol Pot and actually caught the motherfucker. He's the one who filmed the trial of Pol Pot by the villagers. And he's an old core anti-fascist G. Dude is, I don't know, he must be 60, 61, 62, somewhere around there. But he is still fighting against fascism to this day. I'm just saying, if you want to talk Cambodia, I'm not the guy, but he's brought me to a lot of it. And I've been studying up on that myself. It's by and large what led to the protests that Kent State was about. And, as much as that was very much tied to the Vietnam War, at that stage, it was actually bombings in Cambodia that the protesters were upset about. Speaking of babies being blown up, that was, the first Gulf War. That was the babies in the incubators lie. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. That was the false flag that they'd hired the daughter of an ambassador to the U.S. To stage that, and it goes on and on and on and on. These false events that the United States government has used to get into wars, and I don't know. Fuck Nazis. I don't know. That's what we're supposed to talk about. So.
No. This is perfect because what I wanted to ask is what is the relationship between fascism and neoliberal capitalism, and how do institutions like the police and the military-industrial complex, how are they served by right-wing groups and vice versa?
Well, I mean, any right-wing organization that wants to fund goose-stepping, boot-wearing enforcers obviously is in the best interest of those who choose to make a profession out of doing such things. Generally, the police and FBI are even the NSC admitted this to me, and they hate the feds quite a bit, that the law enforcement agents are probably politically more aligned to them than to us. I mean, they were literally playing like oppression Olympics about who's been more oppressed by the feds. I think we won, but I'm not sure they would admit it. And, because we have the same feds. The Joint Terrorism Task Force investigates anti-fascists and neo-Nazis.
Correct, yeah.
But they don't really investigate the neo-Nazis as much as, we had 2 carloads of anti-fascists who were going to join the Dropkick Murphys.
Oh, yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah, that's what we were supposed to talk about.
But I ran it. That's my fault.
Yeah, I know.
We love it, though.
We were talking about false flag. I'm sorry, everyone.
Yeah, I know.
Lauren, I have to say this while you're here. We here on the Epoch of Incredulity, we are all up for a fucking false flag conspiracy theory.
I am up for that too any day, but we have really important information to share, so I need to share.
Her husband needs to shut the fuck up.
It's true, you do need to shut. Everybody needs to, actually, this is a general rule of thumb. Everybody needs to shut the fuck up, because the agents knock, and they're still knocking, and they just searched 2 carloads of comrades because some asshole did a false flag at this rally that the Dropkick Murphys put on at the behest and with Ken of the Dropkick Murphys, pointing out 2 carloads of comrades when someone said they had weapons in their trunk. NSC didn't show up.
Which is bullshit.
Which was bullshit, but they had 20 cops pulling over 2 cars last Saturday and searching them up and down.
Should we back up and explain how...
No.
Okay, never mind.
No, I want to say, let's get to the important part here, and let's get to the real fascism. Let's talk about what's happening now. What's happening now is the Joint Terrorism Task Force is ruining everything. And they are searching people's cars, for no reason, letting them go only because people are filming. I guess this has always happened, but in a way, NSC didn't show up to this fight that the Dropkick Murphys announced. I guess I should give background, but you know what? You can read about it because it was all over the news. Because they're smarter than that. And maybe we should have been too. It should have been a rally. But it was a stupid attempt at a false flag fight. And we had a bunch of asshole racist dudes from Southie and a bunch of us who are generally mixed race, mixed...
Can I have some detail and context to that?
No.
Okay.
2 seconds, Rod.
Oh, shut up.
This, so what I want to say is be very careful when it comes to organizing these sort of things, because they literally said on video, let's find a reason to arrest these people.
Yeah, use encrypted chat.
Well, that's not just that. It's even going out and doing it. It was live. This was in real life.
Yeah.
We videoed the cops doing this. I would rather get in a fist fight with the biggest guy in NSC than deal with 20 Joint Terrorism Task Force people. So when we do things, we need to just be really careful about that, because the life-ruining situation that can come of it is far more dangerous than a black eye from a Nazi.
From my standpoint, I'd like to fist fight with 20 NSC rather than deal with one Joint Terrorism Task Force.
Yeah, it's less scary to fight the NSC head on without letting the whole world. If everybody wants to arrange a fight in private, that's fine. I'm not against that. Definitely punch a Nazi. It's always okay.
So one of the things going on there is that NSC, when Ken called them out for using the Dropkick Murphys song on their promotional recruitment video. Ken's lawyers, or the Dropkick Murphys lawyers, and Ken basically is the Dropkick Murphys. I used to work for them. I was the director of photography on their Meanest of Times documentary, and but so I know a little bit about the inner workings of them, and I was uncomfortable about their cop propaganda at that time, but that was 15 years ago. Point being is that Ken sent a cease and desist letter, or their lawyers, to the email account of the neo-Nazis, NSC 131. NSC countered, and a lot of people made fun of them, and rightfully they should make fun of Nazis. I get it. But NSC was like, if you want a private fight without the cops being there, just fucking email us, bro. And Ken was like, nah, man, I'll be walking my dog down to the park. Come on down. So Ken was basically Ken had engaged in private communication, but decided not to because he didn't want a real fight. It was a false flag. Ken was trying to get footage for a music video because they're going to make an album of Woody Guthrie songs about fighting Nazis, an all cover album. And I think he was probably hoping to get footage for a music video. I'm sworn to secrecy as to how I know that, but I guarantee you I know that, and wait for it, give it 6 to 12 months, and I'm sure I will be, found to be correct on this. When I got there, we were on the side of the park with the basketball courts and all that, and anti-fascists, Lauren, Shimmy, myself, we headed over to the larger park, the memorial, which is on the hill, and Ken directly addressed me and was like, get the fuck out of here. We can't have you, motioning to Antifa, you with the masks, and there was a clear Antifa flag. We can't have you here because people don't want to be on camera. It's like, well, yeah, Antifa's masked up because they don't want to be on camera. So I think you have the same issue which you're violently agreeing on. It sounds to me like you're being anti-Antifa. What does that make you, Ken?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what happened. It was really weird, and a lot of the people that his dudes from Southie or whatever. I'm sure that there's a reason. I mean,
they want to fight. They just brawl.
Well, it's not just they like to brawl, but what I'm saying is there's a reason that NSC 131 recruited in Southie on St. Patrick's Day.
They probably if they actually did a private fight, they'd probably recruit some of them over to their side.
Exactly. I'm not calling every dude in Southie a racist, but there's a contingency there. So
it is definitely the most racist neighborhood of Boston.
Yeah, and it's okay. I can blend in just fine. Oh, hey, sweetie, whatever, it's fine. But it's hard when you have comrades that are people of color and they're getting attacked, and they're there to fight Nazis too.
Well, yeah, and speaking of that, the conflict between Shimmy, who is an African-American man, a friend of ours, got in a verbal altercation with the guy with the basketball. I'll just call him the basketball guy. Started shouting down Shimmy and saying, you don't belong here, et cetera, et cetera. He ended up being the guy who used his car, as things were winding down, to box in the anti-fascists in their cars so that they couldn't get out. He then confronted them, called another one of our black friends the N-word, dropping a bunch of racial epithets, and which led to another verbal altercation in which they're like, oh, you're going to the cops? And he's like, no, I'm not calling the cops. I'm
walking up to them right there.
I'm telling the cops. And that was when Lauren and I, so this is the thing, that was one end of what was happening. And as he moved along, then Lauren and I saw the other end of it, where Ken was chatting it up with basketball guy, the racist basketball guy, and the cops.
And he was telling them they had weapons in their trunks. And they didn't.
And so, yes, there was no weapons among any of the anti-fascists. And the cops used this as a pretense to stop all of the anti-fascists who had come out to fight Nazis, to stand up against them. Even if the Nazis, obviously the Nazis didn't show up, but even just to have a rally against hate, right? Because that's still a win. But Ken wanted a music video, and that was the thing, is that at the end of the day, there's the saying, if you go to a rally and someone's got a Nazi flag and you don't do or say something about it, and I wrote this in my article for Ida Vox, if you don't do or say something about it, then you're at a Nazi rally. And the same thing applies to the St. Patrick's Parade. That's why we stood up. If you go to a parade and no one says something about it, then you're at a Nazi parade. And the third thing is that if you go to a rally and you invite a bunch of cops to it, like Ken did, then you're at a cop rally. And who are the biggest Nazis? The cops.
Exactly.
And Ken will always be remembered for having stood up to Nazis at his shows and hitting that Nazi over the head with his bass guitar. But this should be a teachable moment for him. He should be able to learn from this and realize that his alliance with the police, which has existed for many years using the Boston Police Bagpipe Union, that's a bad motherfucking look for you. Find some other bagpipers, Ken. Get the fuck out of here with that fucking fascist shit.
So anyway, a few carloads of friends were pulled over by about 20 police vehicles at a time for, a beat-up Camry type car to search them. And we were filming and walking by. They were being detained. It was part of an investigation. It was part of a lineup so the guy could point out who had the weapons. Nobody had any weapons. They let them go. I'm sure they got all their IDs, and it's been fed to the Boston Regional Intelligence Committee. And, of course, our favorite feds, Creed and Kimball, were there and showed up and asked us why we weren't at the Oscars. That was fun. And this is what circles us back around to the fact that the same agents were arresting the leader of NSC on St. Patrick's Day, which is why we got punched.
Okay.
So this is very strange because the leader messaged me saying, we have the same Fed. And I said, that's really offensive. What the hell? Why would we have the same Fed? And he showed me a picture of himself being arrested by the same agent who has tried to ruin my life for 2 years. And I've gotten into that on other shows, but fun. I cannot believe we're in the same category as these motherfuckers, right? Gross. But if this guy had been there, we could have had peaceful banter. Maybe organized a kickball game, something stupid, instead of getting my head slammed into a wall by a bunch of brutes. But they're recruiting now, so they are a bunch of brutes. And Creed arresting a guy for public drinking at a St. Patrick's Day parade, oh my God, everybody does that. Like, I don't feel bad for Nazis or anything, but like, wow.
Yeah, that's not easy.
It's like, yeah, no, it's not. But it's just like, sort of like, I think at this point, everyone who's an activist after the past few years,
be careful.
Be careful, yeah. Be careful and don't. I've become very aware of what the Boston Police Department does and tracks and is capable of, and has gotten worse about actually since 2020. And that is, I didn't want this to be a publicly announced event because I figured they'd barricade the whole park before we could even get in there. They did that with like a Black Lives Matter rally a couple weeks ago.
But it was public.
Where was that?
From the get-go, yeah. That was a Monica rally.
Okay.
It was fairly small, but it was, very, very heavily barricaded. I mean, they're keeping track on any time anyone's going to do a protest on the left. In fact, they investigate it far more than anything else because they're actually on the side of, in terms of other rallies going on, it's usually the anti-vaxxers, and they're kind of like with them. So
yeah, I was surprised. I mean, like I've had a little bit of experience with like organizing rallies when it was, at the peak of the George Floyd protests, and like cops got there before we did.
Yeah, of course they did.
Not at the 3rd precinct. They burned that motherfucker down.
Well, we're talking about Boston.
I'm well aware. I'm talking about at Minneapolis. They burned that motherfucker down.
That's glorious.
I don't advocate that, but I was there. And it was
in the video game.
Yeah, in Minecraft.
Oh, no, I was there.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
They are literally there's an entire department that we have no idea how much they're funded, and we have no oversight of the Joint Terrorism Task Force.
Well, we know how much Creed gets paid.
Yeah, but he's just one person. There's more people working for JTTF than him. So it's
you a picture.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like 10 of them, that's like millions and millions.
He gets paid $170K a year.
Yeah, but they're still paying for the equipment, so it's millions.
Of course.
So that's what I'm saying. So the JTTF has been getting a ton of money during this. Their beat is protests in general.
Yeah.
And they have so much leeway to they'll go to your mom's house. They'll go to your grandma's house. They'll go to your friend's brother's, uncle's, cousin's house to ask questions about you.
They'll go to your kindergarten teacher.
They'll go to some guy you had on your podcast once. He'll probably come to your house just because you had us on.
Could happen. It's
happened before. So,
we'll get to meet all 4 of my cats.
Well, it's, yeah.
For your own safety. And I'm not telling you what to do because I don't want to tell anyone what to do. But for your own safety, I advise you, don't talk to a vampire. Don't invite them into your house.
Never invite a vampire into your house. You can always say, I will not speak to you without an attorney present. Unless they have a warrant, but they don't.
Along those lines, what are some things that we, leftists, communists, anti-fascists, anarchists can do to protect ourselves from the fucking police, from agents.
I think the first thing is that when they knock, you shut the fuck up. When they call your mom, you make sure your mom knows ahead of time to shut the fuck up. I think it's really, really important for everyone to not play around with this. And you don't know just because what you say, they may not be investigating you, but like some casual remark or you identifying someone in a photo from a high school group photo like from a million years ago could be used against them in a really bad way, and it could be your friend. So it's just best not to say anything at all and say, I won't speak to you without an attorney present. You don't need to have a lawyer to say that. You can just say that, and you just say it a few times and they do go away and they don't come back because you're not a talker.
Let me say this. I don't know anything about leftism or anti-fascism, but as a song and dance man, with occasional comedy stylings, I am painfully aware that these three-letter agencies will use anything you say or do out of context, just like Stephen Kimball did with Tosh.0 and Key and Peele. They will take that out of context, as they did with us. And it is in your best interest to keep your song and dance on the stage. Now, I might be speaking metaphorically, maybe I'm not. But I think the same principle applies across the board. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, don't let them in. Don't say anything, because if you are caught lying later, that's also bad. Just like you literally can just say like it's like the new sign of the cross. Like, make the sign of the cross if you're Catholic and say, I will not speak to you without an attorney present. That's all you have to do.
In fact, in their second visit to me, in which they lectured me at great length, they tried to scare me by saying that they would get me like Martha Stewart. And I'm like, what? Martha Stewart? They're like, oh yeah, Martha Stewart. We got her for lying to the FBI. I'm like...
And then they proceeded to tell you that they were going to put me in aggressive retirement and framing him until August of 2022.
That is true. And I was like, I didn't say anything wrong. Get the fuck out of here.
So they will lie. They will lie. They will scare you. They will do cop talk. They will go to family members. They will go to friends.
They will lie about your friends. They will lie about your family members.
Yeah, they will lie about your friends and family members too. You and your friends and family members.
They will lie across the board. They legally can.
They legally can. Just don't let vampires into your house, and don't say anything. Just say no. You can give your name. Say yep, okay, bye. Get their cards too, so we can track who's who and who's still knocking and who's not.
Yeah, it's good, and it's great for a collection.
Yeah, we're working on a class action thing.
Oh yeah.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of people have gotten fired because of their actions. There's a lot of things that have happened.
Hey, I sued a sitting president of the United States successfully without a lawyer. So
you also sued an FBI agent one, and that's probably why they're doing this to us.
Correct.
Gee, thanks.
Well, goddamn.
Wait for a great story, though.
Yeah, we need to be really careful also about not letting like personal proclivities or personal like.
They were in the wrong.
Well, they were in the wrong, but what I'm saying is also, this is another thing I know from other involvement I've had in other more, in a way, more risky situations. Do not let, I know we all love to be really, really open, accepting, understanding. We're all into like taking care of each other, helping each other.
And mushrooms.
And all these things. If somebody is using one of their weaknesses as a way to get something from you or get one over on you or get close to you or getting you to feel guilty about not letting them to be involved in something that is maybe not quite all the way above board, you need to listen to your gut on that. It's okay to say no to people even when they are, disadvantaged in some way or, have something going on that you want to help and you feel bad, because a lot of times this is something that's used against people on the left and they've figured it out. I promise you they figured it out. And they are using people that we all want to help, and they're using that motivation against us. And this is something everyone doesn't want to hear, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah, I'm
sorry to say it.
I hate talking about it because it's so fucking painful to deal with, but
yeah,
that's definitely been my experience with mutual aid.
Yep.
And it sucks because I feel like a bad person, but at the same time, like, you can't save everybody.
I mean, it's not even about whether you can save someone or not. Just because you can't save someone doesn't mean they're a fed. What I'm saying is they are using people
it's spider sense
to become feds. Like, you gotta trust your spider senses, because that person could have gotten caught and is a controlled informant. That person could be on their payroll.
One of their favorite things is just pinching people on some bullshit charge. It could be some weed. It could be a traffic problem. Who knows what it, or, and
they pay them too. They pay people too. People who are poor.
They have a wide array of tools in their toolkit. The spectrum, goes from traffic violation up to you actually storming the Capitol on January 6th. It's not anyone we know or that we're friends with. But I mean, this is by and large why they took over Brandon Straka's account. If you're unfamiliar with Brandon Straka, he's the leader of the Walk Away movement. He was a quote unquote, by his own description, a gay liberal. And he decided that was no good for him anymore. He founded this thing called Walk Away. And because of January 6th, he was found, to be participating with that. And the FBI made him a controlled informant. One of the tools in their toolkit is that you can they'll make you sign over your rights to use your social media. So they took and I'm speculating, but I have good evidence to indicate that this is likely true. Brandon Straka, I mean, the part that's 100% public knowledge is that he was caught up in January 6th, and the FBI brought him in. The part that's more vague as to whether he's a controlled informant is that he started DMing people like me on Twitter. Now, mind you, he's got 500,000 followers because of his Walk Away movement, and he starts trying to probe me about what's going on in the quote unquote movement, and you can fuck right off with that shit. So be very careful.
Brandon Straka, the thing is, he isn't even your friend,
right?
What I'm saying is, we have friends that we see at protests every day that I believe are controlled informants, and or there's people who literally just cause problems in movements on purpose.
The point that I'm trying to make is that Facebook Messenger is compromised.
Oh yeah, everyone knows that. Everyone knows everything's compromised.
I want to reiterate it for people that might not.
Use Signal, obviously.
Use Signal or some other encrypted
Use
app.
Signal, obviously,
for the love of God.
But the people
with disappearing messages.
Yeah, but the people that you're emotionally concerned with and entangled with, who are causing problems and causing maybe more, that could be their modus operandi. And I've seen this has been happening a lot. And it turns out they're on a payroll. And there's a lot more of that that's going to be coming out soon. So honestly, I mean, in terms of the Nazis, well, we can keep fighting them all day, and we will. But there's a huger issue that's going on.
The secret police.
Yeah, we have secret police to deal with, too.
Gestapo.
So.
Did we talk about Nazis and psilocybin?
Oh, yeah, they might start doing mushrooms, and that could just fix everything.
This guy, John Fashcroft, which NSC
John
131. The John Fashcroft show, who advocated for NSC 131 to start doing mushrooms so that they could act like a psilocybin network. And so we explained to him, listen, Joe Rogan he says the real F word, but, rhymes with...
Yeah.
Smaggot. It's but he's not wrong about it. He had Paul Stamets on there, which is a mushroom expert. You can see his documentary on Netflix, bro. But myosabin networks are the biggest networks in the world, and it'll get stuff that one Nazi group needs on the other side of the country to the other Nazi group, like mushrooms. We need to be like mushrooms, man.
Yeah, I think they might all start doing mushrooms and trying to communicate telepathically, and that will really help.
Scariest fucking thing. I mean, aside from Joe Rogan, giving the Proud Boys their start with Gavin McInnes.
I feel like the mushrooms could help the Nazis.
I feel like maybe it could, but it might make them crazy.
But what if we showed up with Vermin Supreme and made their trip magical? And then they stopped being Nazis.
I remember guys from my childhood who took a ton of acid. They were violent to begin with, and they started carrying around crossbows and bringing stealing chickens from the local poultry farm, to shoot with the crossbow to show that they're the best archer on acid. I mean, that
really
stuff,
that's really messed up.
That is, I remember that. Mike Murphy. I'll name you. I don't give a fuck, Mike. Fuck you. Him and John showed up looking for my brother, and I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, we're tripping balls. We got a chicken. I'm like, I'm like,
honestly, that's you. I would usually be like, okay, what's up? What are we doing today?
I was like, all right.
So I saw the crossbow.
I was like, well, go eat it in your car. And he's like, no, man, you don't understand. It's live. And then like he fucking kicked open the door and like fucking threw it in. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like found I don't know. I think my parents were on vacation or something. And yes, they had like this crossbow and started shooting at it and they're tripping balls. Like, and like, I don't want to say that they were Nazis or fascists. But they were those kind of steroid fighting motherfuckers that I imagine grew up to be fascist if they had any political leanings whatsoever. Ultimately, they chased it out into the backyard, and like one of them, it finally got the chicken like in the neck. It pinned it to the ground, and the body just started flailing around.
Yeah, that's what happens when you kill a chicken.
Well, I'd never seen this before. It was, but this is what I imagine fascists start out like. You might be right. I haven't talked to those guys since, so I don't know. But I imagine that they could be neo-Nazis. I don't know.
Yeah, because one of my questions was, is there a sort of recipe of environmental and ideological factors that facilitate the adoption of fascist tendencies? And the answer is, could have something to do with chickens.
Yeah. I think it's like a lack of a father figure, to be honest, is one of the things.
It's too many
No, you just sound like fucking Mitch McConnell.
No, I sound like that guy who got out of the Nazi that we met the other day. He said the same thing to me.
What if they have two moms, though?
That's fine.
Well,
I mean, that's fine because you're already growing. It's fine. But like, that's what, okay, so I met somebody who had become a Nazi and got out of that movement.
Oh, I know who you're talking
Yes,
about.
and that was something they said was, it's like
lack of that.
He actually wanted to talk. He wants to speak with me further on the psychology of this because I'm interested in it myself.
Yeah, he's totally against Nazis.
I consider that like Lost Boys sort of thing. I also think that it has to do with the decline of life. Not life expectancy, but like
living standard,
quality of life,
and sperm count.
No, standard of living for everybody. Like as millennials, as Gen Z, whatever, our life is actually much harder than our parents.
Yeah, that's definitely.
And true. I feel like instead of blaming it on the rich getting richer, which they sort of are doing it, they're also blaming it on having to share with Black people. Like they're acting like they're all trying to share a fixed amount of something, while like the rich are. But they're also accepting that the rich are taking so much. Like, hey, maybe if we all took on power together, we would not mind sharing with everybody because there'd be enough, right? But they're not really at that point yet because they're also racist and they're feeling like their opportunities or their masculinity, whatever it is being taken away by minorities or liberalism or whatever. And, maybe a lot of them are in the basement and playing video games. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of the sort of internet meme sort of culture that has come through, that has developed over the past 10 years or so. So there's that as well. So there's sort of a coagulation of things. There's also a lot of them were involved in sort of combat sports in there.
They love that shit.
Yeah, like wrestling, like combat sports in their sort of youth, like in high school and stuff like that. So there's like sort of this focus on or a lot of them were fat and then trying to get skinny.
Chris Hood was sending me all that stuff about with the gay Nazis or whatever. They I don't know, it was Chris, but it was one of the people from the NSC account, and we traded all those photos about the.
Oh yeah, that was Chris. That was Chris.
Cross-dressing Nazis.
Yeah, you were sending him cross. That's not what I'm talking about, but that's cross-dressing Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were sending them a lot of photos of like Nazis in drag, and that was really fun. As a side note, but a lot of them also, you made me forget what I was going to say. But you can get, let's talk about Nazis in drag. That's actually more fun. No. I don't remember what I was going to say, so please talk.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I don't want to mansplain the issue here, but
you're a man. You should. I don't know how men think. I don't know why you guys become Nazis. They certainly don't have many women in their group. I'll tell you that. Not to like put gender on anything, but
well, you talked to them for a while.
Yeah, but they don't have women in their group.
No, absolutely. You talked to him about that.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
No, they don't. They just don't.
Yeah, but why? What was his answer? What was his answer?
Because he said he didn't admit they don't. He just said that if they did, they wouldn't tell anybody because they wouldn't want their women to get attacked.
And how was he treating you with his memes? Him in relation to me?
Well, they were making they were not polite.
Right. He was over-sexualizing the situation. I mean, at least in my view.
Yeah, but who doesn't over-sexualize me? It's fine.
I mean, I can't blame them. I mean,
well, okay, so here's really like...
They're children, that's all.
I can't help but think that a big part of the problem is like, you know, in addition to like the decline in, you know, material security that we have in this country, we also have like just like a completely degraded sense of like our social relationships are so we're so atomized, you know.
Yep.
We are so alienated from one another, and
it's like they don't know their neighbors.
Exactly. Like I fucking it's bizarre. Like well, I'm not going to talk about myself. This isn't about me. But
please.
No. No. If you want to know more about my trials and tribulations, you're welcome to join a peer support session, listener. You know, I think like ultimately I would like to be able to come away from this with some idea of, because you both of you have sort of, you know, put forth a belief that we can propose some kind of alternative, you know, like because these are maybe not at current, you know, your average fascist, maybe like just too fucking hard to get through to, but there is like a stage of development where somebody has, you know, they kind of, maybe they don't have any fucking friends, maybe they are overweight, they don't fit in with anybody at school, they don't see any future for themselves. At that point, they just kind of, it's just kind of a toss up for what they're going to be exposed to. What is our role in, like, you know, creating an environment where those people end up adopting like a more humanistic outlook on the world to the extent that we can? What can we do?
It's so funny because, you know, they're talking about homeless encampment defense.
Yeah.
They're talking about anti-gentrification work. You know what I mean? Like
I fucking brought this up. I fucking brought this up in our proposal to defend the people on mass cast. I said that if socialists don't do it, fascists are going to.
Well, they also hate drug dealers and drugs, so they may not.
Losers.
And they also don't want to interact with black people. They're not strong enough yet to go to Roxbury or to go. You know what I mean?
There's still plenty of white heroin addicts in Boston. I can tell you.
Well, I know, but you know, they're like, if you look at where they drop banners, if you look at where they go to recruit, they're not going to the hood right now. Maybe in a couple months, we'll see.
But I mean, so much of this, like Rod said, is, you know, a lot of this is almost, you know, like we're talking about, some of this is what actually happens on the ground, but a lot of this is fucking messaging, you know?
Yeah.
So it's almost like with that kind of like the relationship that, you know, activists or whatever have with the public, it's not even necessarily what you're doing on the ground. Like a lot of it is messaging, a lot of it is, you know, what you claim to advocate.
Our messaging isn't appealing to them. They looked at leftist messaging as weak, and they want to seem strong and they want to feel strong.
Chris Hood even complained about our sign that said Nazi cucks and said, "Oh, look, man, you got cucked out. You know, the moment that 20 of us confronted you on the street." You know, to which I'd say, yeah, you see everything as a weightlifting competition. We came to challenge you intellectually and make fun of you to your face. I guess if you wanted to beat us up, you could have done that, and I don't know how, you know, that would have been messaged, but we were there to stand up against the concept of Nazism or neo-Nazism.
Yeah, and to let the whole surrounding know that, hey, the real Nazis are literally right there. You don't want them there. Let's make them go. Like, that was...
I'm not stupid enough to think that Lauren and I could have taken on 24 guys who've been bench pressing all week.
Yeah.
But, like, what does that say about their cowardice? You know, the fact that they threw Lauren up against the wall, like, you know, I mean, it's childish, and they have a vision of the future which is untenable.
It's a vision where might is right. But I also do think there is some, I mean, like there's got to be a workaround, whether it's getting their ass kicked once by a bunch of leftists or having getting schooled at a kickball game, or
look,
like, you know, whatever it is, like there's got to be a workaround where if you have to use whatever, you know, like, but then you're playing on their field.
I don't want to kink shame, but what Chris was implying was that I was the cuck.
Yeah, I know, but
they could have been when the reality is that they're the ones not getting laid. So, you know, really, maybe what it is that like they just need to get out and people need to swipe whatever the right direction is. I don't know. I don't
think we should be encouraging anyone to fuck.
Listeners, why don't you fuck a Nazi for the team?
Yeah, I don't think that's really the best.
Once in a while.
I don't think that's the solution, but do we have to do things that are like maybe going to let them see the light, that like that their father isn't going to perpetually beat them, that might isn't always right, that we can have I don't want to have a conversation with them.
Yeah,
but we were there to try to have a conversation. We weren't there to fist fight.
Yeah, we weren't. We're not. We usually like to try to have a dance off, usually, or like a rap battle.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We're jokers, but I think I don't encourage anyone to go fuck a Nazi or get into some sort of toxic relationship with one. I think that's.
Look, I was making a fucking joke. I'm just saying that. I mean, it seems to me.
I think they should all do a bunch of mushrooms with Vermin Supreme.
I don't know if Vermin's gonna go for that. Jesus fucking Christ!
I don't know what this.
So if I interpret,
I'm not advocating fucking Nazis or sending Nazis to Vermin Supreme. I think both of those are bad ideas. I know we're brainstorming here.
Is anyone willing to take on doing mushrooms with Nazis?
No.
Oh God, the toxicity.
See, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's really the problem.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with them enough.
In a sense, they have to come to you.
So,
right?
I mean,
so Cameron, who was one of the people from NSC, the last thing that he messaged before he committed suicide was that I'm gay. So think of the toxic masculinity that must exist among them. That this guy who believes that he's, or I guess is gay, decides, or was, that he wants to be a part of a neo-Nazi group, NSC 131. And I don't know how to. I don't know. How does that fucking work?
I mean,
how do you get across to someone who is gay but decides that they want to partner up with the Nazis who want to beat his head in?
But that's kind of why I asked that question, because obviously they're looking for a sense of community. Right?
Yep, they are.
So by presenting an alternative where we can still be, to a degree, like
a communal, like almost frat, like,
but like fucking powerful, like have powerful ideas, be powerful, like actually do praxis. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. The problem is, no one's gonna want a Nazi in their working group.
Right.
Yeah, that could be a problem, just a bit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even if somebody wanted to leave and like start to join the socialists, like, can you imagine how?
Oh yeah, that's true. I would kick that guy in a fucking second. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and even I said this to Chris. I'm like, oh, you want to do homeless encampment defense? Like, no one's gonna want you around because you're a fucking Nazi. Like, this is the problem. And so, but I agree with you, because yes, in an ideal world, somebody could just say, oh, I don't hate Jews and black people anymore, but I still want to fight capitalism. All right, comrade, welcome on board. But it doesn't work that way.
Which is why I think groups like Life After Hate, try to push them towards and maybe the people at the homeless shelter and the soup kitchen are not thrilled about having something like that there, but maybe that's a non-political place that they can try to show support of the community, to maybe
but
start. It's a long process.
It's not their community to them.
Oh, that's another good point.
They love their people. They love white people.
Well, goddamn it.
You know what I'm saying? They don't want to go to Roxbury and do community service. That's not what they're interested in. They'll pick up litter in Pepperell, though. So I don't know where the connection can be made to make people understand that all people are our people, because that's how I love my people too. My people happen to be everybody, and I feel like that's how the left may be feeling more so than the right.
Mycelium networks, man. Yeah, we're all connected.
I don't know the answer, but I do know that
maybe they haven't done enough acid. Maybe
they haven't. That's what I just think they haven't done enough acid. I don't know, but it's a lot of toxicity to wade through. Actually, having long conversations with somebody in NSC, which I unfortunately had the luck of having. Disfortune of having.
Me too.
It's something. There's professionals. I'm gonna try, but I don't know I think that we do need to be able to appeal to a certain. The left needs to be able to appeal to a certain type of what we consider more traditionally privileged people in order to stop them from being Nazis, but also not coddle to them either. So it's kind of hard.
I also think we should not be putting too much time.
Exactly.
The extent that we're wasting.
I think we really just need to worry about the cops more than
wasting our lives on trying to win them over. if they come to you,
but to prevent recruitment of more.
Sure, if they come to you, try to help them out. But,
yeah, I was more focused on like how can we, if we really give a shit about like doing something that will affect the way the world works, like what can we do to change those initial environmental factors so that there isn't such a
such a great recruitment drive for the not so great ideological stomping ground, so to speak.
Yeah, like the more predatory that capitalism becomes, and the more like dangerous that the military industrial complex becomes, and the more savage that police become, the more there's going to be a I don't know if you guys are accelerationists or not. So maybe this could be one depending. I mean, we did a whole episode on this too, and I don't think we are accelerationists.
So I think this is why I'm engaging in paradoxical behavior. Teaming up with Apple TV, large corporations, who I do think are a big problem, but knowing that the bottom line and profit is their motive, I am able to create films which fit their paradigm for profit, in which I am able to get across a message which shows that this shit that they're putting out there is bullshit. I just watched an interview with Howard Zinn earlier today, and he was embarrassed that his book had made something like $700,000 or $800,000, and this must have been 20 years ago. But he believed that creating the book was actually to put out a synthesis of like a concept of what the problem was for the modern left in the wake of the 1960s movement. How people should be thinking about racial relations, worker relations, etc. And this is why the book sold so well. As a result of it, he was embarrassed to have made profits off of it. But there are partnerships that can be made with these capitalistic entities, in order to get out to a broader audience. It's not for everyone necessarily, but I mean that's how I've decided to approach it.
I think all Nazis need to have a sister. That's all. Everybody should have been born with sisters. I think sisters can really solve this problem.
Yeah, maybe
in young men,
sisters,
especially older sisters. I think who has had sisters, it tends to benefit them sociologically. I mean, I don't know about. I mean, I'm sure that giving people job opportunities and dignity of life, fair wages, healthcare, all that other stuff, maybe will make them feel less like blaming Black people for their problems that are actually caused by the general toxicity of our capitalist society. But
the job opportunity of brother.
Yeah, it's a great job, honestly. My brother. Of it, but I don't think that there's going to be a lot of there is a lot of having people get in touch with their feelings, having people we're trying to become more understanding and inclusive and all these other things, and it's still not going to appeal or resonate with a lot of dudes when they're 14. They're gonna resist it.
Yeah, I was an asshole when I was 14.
They're gonna resist it. They'll be like, dude, no, I'm a dude, bro, and I want to go fight things and bench and play video games. And
well, one of the things that they were saying on the John Fashcroft show was the thing that appeals for most of us in the movement isn't in getting into ideology. That they don't need to read Mein Kampf or
they don't even need to read. It's great for them.
Well, yeah,
that's the problem with the left. Y'all read too much.
They said the thing most appealing that's going to recruit more members is you beating up a commie.
Yeah,
they want to see videos of brutalizing a commie, and that seems to be, aside from going to the Irish part of South Boston for recruitment, that may very well be their next phase. And I think
that's probably what's going to happen.
And that's something to be concerned with.
And they're going to put it to cool backdrop music, and it's going to be like the army recruiting videos, basically, and that's
with the
army has done a ton of research on how to recruit young men.
They already did it with us.
To this day, I remember the fucking U.S. Navy video with the Godsmack in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because it was so absurd, but it I the visual still sticks with me.
And they have their own video games, and if you're good at it, you get recruited.
So Godsmack licensed their music to them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah, the concept of like military sports is like terrifying.
No, I just don't remember.
You like Godsmack?
No, you just know them.
I just spend all my time working for them.
Yeah,
you did? Holy fuck!
No, Dropkicks. I'm broadly generalizing.
You probably did some stuff for Sully too. Don't lie.
I did.
All 5'2" inches, 5 foot 2 inches of Sully. He's so short.
Well, I'm afraid you are fucking canceled now.
We're
not even gonna put this episode out now.
Why? What? Are we anti-shortness now?
Well, no.
Well, he's also really into like young. Never mind.
I have done several documentaries about little people. I am all for the little.
Yeah,
people
we love. Yeah, it's not about the height; it's about the creep.
Oh, I was referring to Godsmack. I'm a short motherfucker too.
Yeah, but like, you're not like Sully.
Anyhow,
that way. No offense to Sully, but offense to Sully.
Yeah.
Look, fucking the dude from Tool. I saw this interview with.
Are we going to talk about the assholes in Tool? Because I love Tool.
No, I know. Maynard James Keenan did an interview with David Cross about doing the Scientology show, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
Wait, Maynard James Keenan gonna go on a Scientology show?
He already did it. Tool did like a double header. For the Church of Scientology.
When?
I don't Google it. I don't fucking I don't people list of this shit.
I know, but I would know because I like pay attention.
No,
to
you don't know because you don't.
How did I miss this? Was this when I was in jail?
The lounge lizard's open for them apparently, which is even weirder. I don't like.
Want to go see Pucifer?
All right. I'm gonna reel this in. It's fucking
Negative
past.
Land is playing in
It is past 11 p.m. This is later than we usually go by far.
We haven't come to any conclusions about Nazis.
How long is the usual show?
No. We have come to some conclusions.
Nazis bad.
Fight Nazis. Yeah, Nazis are bad.
Nazis bad.
Nazism. Okay.
Nazis bad. At one point, they were probably dealing with some kind of like maybe emotional trauma or something, and they were presented with fucking several options, and they chose the shitty one, and we're probably not going to be able to recoup those Nazis back into the human camp or whatever, the regular human category. But what we can do, fuck it, dude.
Non-lizard people.
Will you edit this half? Because I fucking this is like
don't bring lizard people.
Don't
bring lizard.
No, that's offensive to lizard people.
We're not going to lizard people in this segment here. But what we absolutely can do is, as like a mass of working class people, we can fucking push back on the ideology and show up wherever they go, but we gotta be safe. We gotta fucking look after each other. We gotta, like I said, you gotta use, like, if you're communicating with people electronically, you gotta use encrypted apps. You gotta use fucking Signal. Don't let sketchy people into your orgs who claim that they have just magically been reformed from fascism, after they come to some realization about themselves, and because that's also sketchy as fuck. You got to be wary of that. But once
an FBI collaborator, always an FBI.
Right. Yeah, actually, I think that the odds of a Nazi coming to join the org and is like very low on what's actually at risk. Like orgs are at risk of, because I don't think they really do that quite so much, but maybe they have. I don't know. I'm not in DSA.
Well, they might do it for money. You know what I mean?
I don't think that the feds are paying the Nazis to spy on DSA. I think they have their own informants within.
But this is my point. This is my point, is that fascism is not just fascism is part of the existing capitalistic hierarchy. Fascism is already ingrained in the systems that
it's more like a vibe.
Are normal. It's more like a vibe. It is heavily ingrained in the systems of the prison system, the military. So really, we're going to continue to have to fight against these these structures of government if we ever want to be able to have any kind of autonomy and real working class power.
And the real way to empower the working class isn't through fascism.
Yeah, fuck no. Fuck fascists.
As shield for the military-industrial complex, Noam Chomsky said once, it's a constant struggle.
I think that's perfect.
That's wonderful.
One thing I will say in terms of like levels of hope for humanity, when someone straight up calls out Nazis as Nazis in a crowd, people will respond whether you know them or brought them or not. So pay attention. Even if you are alone, if you're in a crowd and you are knowledgeable, that is NSC 131, that there is the leader, that there's a neo-Nazi organization here to recruit young white men to join a cause for and people will be very upset to hear that because they're here, instead of just saying, oh, that sign seems kind of racist, that's weird, it'll become, yes, this is a known group, this is a known entity of Nazis, and don't let them be welcome here, and now you have a mob.
Hell
that's
yeah.
on your side.
But that's why we invited you on the podcast because, like I said, like you said, we don't want to fucking read and shit. You can just listen. You can just listen and get educated. Yeah. That's why I do the narrations. I read so you don't have to.
Oh no, I don't know how to read.
I actually know how even less.
Wait, where are we?
I don't know. Basically, when you see a Nazi taunt a Nazi, usually it will work out well. Trying to get as close as we do without backup, but if you do, it's cool too because we'll repost it.
Yeah.
We support you.
But be safe.
Diversity of tactics, but I don't want to see any comrades get hurt by Nazis or cops.
Yeah, don't do our shit.
Don't do what we do.
Unless you want to.
Unless you want to.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Yeah. Wear your safety badge.
If you're gonna do it, don't go at it alone. How about that?
Yeah.
Have a husband or a wife or a polycule with you.
Sure.
At all times.
That always
have
confuses
a husband or a wife.
Yeah. Or a polycule.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I'm kind of against the fucking. I don't like. You know what?
Having
you don't have to get married. It's cool that you guys got married, but you don't have to.
Yeah, you do because there's this thing called.
No.
Yeah, we can't talk about why we got married.
No.
And I promise you, it's a valid reason.
Yes.
Also, we love each other a lot.
Yeah.
You love each other.
I think that helps.
There's very good.
I'll know if
married.
Carlene listens to the episode because I'm going to tell her right now. I love you, Carlene. Past couple of years I've spent with you is amazing. And now if she doesn't say anything, I'll know she didn't listen to the episode.
Well, if you guys are in a relationship, that's way cool. If not, like it's way stalkery, bro. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
No, she's in here. I think she's asleep.
Oh.
Yeah,
I should be.
She fell asleep.
Yeah.
Like forcibly or like
no, like she has work in the morning.
I have work in the morning. What am I doing here?
Well, as long as you
I don't know.
What are you
doing here?
What am I doing here? I gotta go to
What are
bed.
you doing here?
Good night, guys.
All right.
I hope we did okay. I hope you can cut it together to something.
You guys did fantastic.
That
it's been
great.
a pleasure.
I don't really think
this is
again.
need to be done.
Yeah, thanks for having us. If you ever need to fill time, you know who to call.
Well,
Rod and Lauren, thank you very much for that very long discussion.
Yeah, we'll tell you something real next time. Just fucking around.
Something that can be confirmed. Yes.
We didn't even tell you about the other FBI raids. I mean, there's a lot here.
We can do a sequel.
Wrap it up.
Right.
Hava, how you doing over there? You have said very little this episode.
Yeah, sorry, I'm tired. Rod and Lauren, that was great. Yeah. It was awesome.
You were tired.
Thank you.
Yeah, anytime, say hi to all your lefty friends that I may have or may not have met for me, because I haven't seen a lot of people in a while.
Oh yeah, we still exist.
Yeah, just say Lauren says hi. Just say Lauren says hi to like regular people at meetings and see like if they know who you're talking about or not. Yeah, we don't know how to stop.
Alright, I'm gonna do this so it doesn't fuck everything up.
Okay.
wrapped in dusk, craving the sunlight, the weather inside us.